Welcome to episode 2 of Desmo Resto. For those new to the channel, we're going to look today at a 748 SP that I bought last year for the princely sum of £1,000. Now, I'm going to show you round the SP today, and really you'll be able to get a really good idea of the extent of the task ahead. I bought this bike for £1,000. It's a proper barn find tucked away in a workshop in Taunton, not a million miles away from me. And by the end of this video, you will have your thoughts and opinions as to whether you think that was a bargain or whether you think it is a money pit. I've got my thoughts on it. Be interesting to see what yours are. So, without further ado, shall we get into episode 2, a tour of the SP. Here we go. We've got the cases out. Bearings are all going to come out. Because this is going to be a for life bike. I got to blend, spending ridiculous amounts of money and doing it exactly how I want it. This kind of greeny grey colour is really hard. AVL Motorsport up at Corsham in Wiltshire, they've nailed that in Cerakote, and so these covers, these bits, the belt covers themselves, I want all that done in that kind of greeny grey Cerakote, and then the cases will be done in silver Cerakote. But of course all bearings will come out, they'll get replaced, and so that's kind of one of these jobs that can just hang out, tick away. I'm considering with their heads getting them to Luigi Moto down in Clutton for what he calls head correction or port correction. I think there's an issue with the valves where they can kind of interfere with some of the flow, and so he just tweaks some stuff around there. So it's not kind of full gas flowing and porting. I'm not like the fastest rider in the world. So yeah, just a little bit of tweaking for those puppies in time, but look at the state of these things. Just, oh hello, that's tasty, isn't it? So there's a lot of work here. The rest of the components are all stuck away in storage, and here she is. So off goes that. Screen will go. An original screen with a little Cajiva elephant was up recently on eBay, I think about 100 quid. Not fussed about that. I think I'm going to go for the race screen, which gives you a little bit more coverage. I'm not too fussed about the weird little hump, so the race screen kind of comes up and gives you a bit more wind resistance at 6'2". I'm big for these bikes, so this will be peachy. It's going to go back to as original as possible, but I might tweak some things. Colour wise, wheel wise, I want it original. So these powder coated wheels, the wheel specialist in Fareham, big Ducati fan, he's got some great, he's done a bunch of bikes, and he can very, very well match this very difficult to sort out kind of greeny, kind of funny beige colour. So he's managed to replicate that really well, so it might go off and I'll get him to do that. Forks are leaking. We've got braided hoses on the front, but I have picked up some race hoses, so they just come down separately. But look at the state in there. Hello. Oh. So this bottom piece is clearly busted. I managed to pick up one of those quite reasonably. But I love this style decal rather than the old kind of decal that's we're up here. I love this style of decal. The 97 bike is really it for me. We've got a split in here, so I'm tempted just to get that repaired And in the first stage, hello, get it running, rebuild the engine, get it running, get the frame done, and then maybe do the paintwork at a later date. I don't know, because the paintwork itself is going to be a good 1,200 odd pounds to redo. Now, interestingly, what this has had, because some of you might be going, oh, I don't think actually you'll find, is that really an SP? It is an SP. It's had a BP conversion at some point. So they've stuck on the heavier BP subframe, and at some point it's lost its shock. But it is a proper SP. And we used to do a lot of these at the dealership. I used to do, you'd have chaps, it was always chaps that had their wife or girlfriend that wanted to go out on the back of their 748 SP, SPS, 916 SPS, whatever. And so we would do these SP conversions for them. Which obviously the purists might think is a bit daft, but it's their bike, so they can do what they want. So that's happened to this at some point. I have located the difficult to find mono original subframe, so I've got one of those to go on, and an Olin shock is next on the shopping list. The swing arms are notoriously difficult to get out, and as you can see here, it's been resorted to. I've just popped this back in, essentially just to be able to get the bike together and mobile, so I can kind of move it around the garage a little bit. But yeah, they've essentially just ground that out and cut it in order to get the damn swing arm out and then the swing arm off. So that's quite tricky. So another one of those is about 120 quid for one of those puppies. And rather empty in there at the moment. Tank's good. Not full of rubbish in there. That seems fairly clean, a little bit crusty around here, so that's all going to need sorting out at some point. So yeah, there she is. Like I say, wheels are going to go back to original colour. It's had the usual, all too common cush drive issues where the cush drives have popped out. I mean, look at the state of that. Hello. The cush drives would come out the back of the carrier and wear away this. This is I've got another swing arm that came with it, and it's just mullered all of this. So I'd like a nicer swing arm. I think when you drop a tooth on the front, you can get quite, well, the chain tension's not right, you get quite a lot of grooves dug into the front. So I'd like to tweak that. That doesn't look original. Not the chuff. So yeah, this one's busted, but that's the one I've got a new one of. But I paid £1,000 for it, which on the one hand seems like quite a good price. On the other, it's gonna cost maybe 6-ish, maybe more, depending on to what extent I get it back on the road. You know, to the crank, for example, there's a crank sat waiting for me somewhere, which is the proper lightened titanium conrod effort. Some of the earlier SPs did only have steel conrods in, but I've got a crank sat waiting for me. But again, that's near £1,000 for that. If I want to do that, or I can just stick a standard crank back in it. But yeah, it'll be a fun project. I'm looking forward to getting stuck into it now, and like I say, holding off getting started because I really wanted to cover it for the channel. So lots of other people, there've been a few other of these kind of up. There's a guy that has done an amazing job. Look at the state of that, that's very bent. Done an amazing job and turned an 853 SP around very, very quickly. Resprayed the frame and wheels themselves, done a brilliant job. So that's also an option if I don't go down to the wheel specialist down in Fareham and get him to do it, is to have a crack at doing it myself. I'm not a pro at this, so it's one of those where, do you give it a try yourself and save yourself you know, a couple £100, or do you just get it to someone who knows what they're doing and you know you're going to get it back and done properly? it's always that balance between time and money. And because this is going to be my forever bike, I don't ever envisage selling this one. Whereas the dear old monster out there technically should be getting sold to be able to pay for this. I would quite like to, I'd like to keep them both. I think they're good stable mates together. It's not no expense spared, because there isn't no expense, you know, there is a limit to what I can spend on it. But it's about putting as much love and care and attention and taking care of the small details and making some small tweaks as we go. You know, I might change the grips, I might upgrade the front master cylinder, nothing that can't be unchanged, but I certainly don't want to powder coat the frame black. You know, not an issue if you're just about riding it. I want to keep it as looking as standard as possible, and go from there. So that is a quickie little look at the 748 SP. You'll have to forgive any wobbly camera angles. I'm shortly about to go and buy a gimbal to try and make these videos a little bit smoother for you. But yeah, we have lots and lots of work to do. But it should be fun doing it. One of the reasons I haven't quite started yet is I really love having it in the garage. Forgive all the crap in the background. What is not to love about looking at that all day long? So that's it. That's a quick tour of the SP. We've not covered everything. I've not shown you every single filthy, busted, in need of repair, in need of replating item that's on this bike. Otherwise this would be a very long video indeed. But join me on future episodes as I start to get into it and we start to get this thing back on the road. In future episodes I will also look to cover other people's rebuilds, and also the rebuild of this little yellow 750 monster that was sat for 19 years in a garage with a cracked crankcase until I came along and saved it. So join me in the next episode. Don't forget to click like, subscribe, turn on those alerts and all that business, and leave a comment. Do you think I've bought a bargain or a money pit? And I will see you on the next one. Thanks for your time.